Right at this moment, they're not looking too bad, but this is a lap round a wet Wellington circuit. Now with the wipers going, once you get up to this speed, that's across the start-finish line. We're going in a couple of gears now. This is a very sharp hairpin corner, back to low gear. You must be very careful on the throttle here. You must ease the power in because the wheels spin in the opposite lock. Very quick on the steering wheel, up to second gear, through the gates, out onto the main street. Now this here is very slippery. It wheel spins all the way up here in second, into third, through the chicane, flat out now. This chicane is really quick now. Into fourth gear, then into fifth, and now we're looking at probably coming up to one of the most difficult parts of the circuit where you've got to brake very hard over all the bumps, back to second gear, round through the corner here. It's a chicane type corner, very easy on the throttle because it wheel spins, into third, into fourth, and then we come down to a left-hand around the bus depot here where you've actually got to get into second gear, point the car into the corner and really boot it, and it gets very slippery. Now this is a really tricky part through the gate back onto the wharf because you can easily clobber that fence on the way out, and it's through a fairly fast sort of chicane up through the back here, and then over a fierce bump where you're braking very hard and then back to second gear for the nice hard right-hander and then a left-hander to the approach on the bridge. And it's very, very narrow here. You must be very, very careful you don't clip the back of the car on the fence. And this is where you must keep the car very well settled because it is a flat-out two turns, left and right and onto the main straight.
How did you manage to see out that window?
Mate, with much difficulty, I can assure you. The further I went, the worse it got. So I suppose it's just a matter of knowing where you're going and hoping like hell that you make the right sort of judgment.
Just briefly, Dick, the maximum speed is what most people have been asking us about on the back straight. What sort of speed are you getting up to?
Well, in kilometres an hour, I suppose we're doing around about 240 odd kilometres an hour. So that's pretty quick down the main street. I'm glad there's no policeman there.
For those of us in the older generation, what does that mean in miles an hour?
Oh, around about 135 odd mile an hour, which is fairly fast for a street circuit, especially seeing there's nowhere to go, and that seems to be the biggest problem around most of these circuits. You can't see where the hell you're going.
Is it a problem in that back straight with speeds that high with the bumpiness of it?
Well, not really. I think the problems come in when you're basically beside another car because the cars do dart and jump across the road a little bit, and you can get into a few problems when you start passing a few cars, especially a car that's almost as quick as you are.
Obviously there's a problem too with smaller cars after you come through the gate onto the wharf area around to the bridge.
Yeah, well they can, irrespective of how much quicker you are, unless they leave a bit of an opening where you can stick your nose down and have a go for it, they can hold you up until you get back onto the straight again. And that really does sort of take an awful lot of, or add a lot onto your times.
This is the bridge approach here. Obviously it's very, very tight getting on.
Very tight. It's, you know, it's definitely a one-car deal. And I think even yesterday in qualifying on the first session, we were actually stopped there at one stage.
Squaring up to that bridge, has it made the exit quicker?
It has made the exit a little bit quicker because you can get the power on a little bit earlier, but all in all, it is not that much faster than last year.
You drove here last year in Big Fella. It must be a lot nicer in the car that handles as well as the Mustang.
The Mustang handles superbly around here. It stops very well. It is a little bit short on horsepower by comparison to the Commodores and also the Volvos, but the car itself is a joy to drive. It really is.
Obviously, a lot of the practice times are fairly irrelevant, other than showing us that people can go a lot quicker here than they did last year. How do you rate your chances? Is it a case of going out there and going like hell like you did last year, or are you going to sit back a while?
Well, I think we've got to be a little more conservative than we were last year. I think my opinion of finishing is a little bit different to what it was last year because the fact that I knew damn well that we were in a motor car that had a very, very slim chance of finishing, mainly because, not because of the motor car at all, but because of the rules, the way that motor car had to be run. And when you have to run standard brakes on a car that's that fast, I tell you, it becomes a hell of a problem on a circuit like this. So, you know, we were a little optimistic about finishing, but the Mustang is a very reliable car.
You managed to evade that question quite well. What are your tactics off the line?
No, mate, I'll go like hell for a start until we consolidate some sort of position because it is very difficult to pass here. And as you see there, the track is breaking up in a couple of places, and that'll play a really big part in the whole system. And the Mustang is pretty tough in the suspension, plus the fact that it handles the bumps very, very well indeed. And I'm damn glad I'm driving that rather than some of the other cars, to be quite honest.
Okay, Dick, thanks very much for taking us for a drive around the circuit. The best of luck for it. I presume you are starting the car?
Yes, I will be, and probably finishing it, I'd say, the way we're looking.
Okay, we'll let you get away.
Many thanks indeed.
Get down there and get prepared for the race. I'm sure